Hi, I'm Scott, your joint pain specialist from San Jose, California. And today we're going to talk about something that's going to happen to all of us, getting older. And as we get older and we age, our muscles become deconditioned if we're not properly taking care of them, okay? And then what happens is we get really weak to the point where we have a tendency to fall down. So in today's video, we're going to go over the exercises that will help strengthen the muscles crucial to maintaining our balance so that we don't fall down. And I'm going to give you a little heads up. It has to do with your feet and your legs, not your core. So without further ado, let's get to the workout.
Okay, so here we are looking at the 6 exercises that are going to help you from preventing you from falling. Okay, sorry, that's trying to mouthful or something. So that's the focus of today. And again, the big focus here is strengthening the feet, strengthening the legs. And the reason is because there's this thing that's called proximal support. Okay, proximal support is what your body uses as leverage in order to create movement. Okay, now when it comes to exercising, I really like doing dumbbell bench press, okay, for my chest muscles. And part of the reason why I like it so much is because I can really feel the muscles working as I'm doing that. Part of the reason why I'm able to feel it working so well in comparison to just doing like a regular push-up is because I'm laying down on my back on a bench that's giving me support. And it's proximal support, so proximal meaning closer, so that bench is really close to my shoulders, which is giving me support so that I can focus on the appropriate muscle to put a lot of muscle contraction into it. When I'm doing a push-up, the proximal support is actually in my hands, and that's how come it's a little harder for me to feel my chest muscles. I'm feeling them, but not quite as well as if I'm doing the dumbbell bench exercise because I actually have support closest to the joint that I'm trying to strengthen. So, the reason why people fall down is because they have weaknesses around the muscles at the joints that have the proximal support. And when we're standing and walking, well, the ground is actually what's providing us proximal support. The closest joint to the ground is our feet, followed by our legs, okay? So the reason why we have a hard time with our balance has nothing to do with our core. Well, it has a little bit to do with our core, but it's mostly because of our feet and our legs, okay? So just getting that out there right now. Now, this is a standard, typical routine that you're looking at right now, these 6 exercises to help strengthen the feet and the legs so that you're less likely to fall. And these are all medically backed and researched as the best exercises to actually help out and strengthen your feet and your legs so that you're no longer falling down. But that doesn't mean that these are the best exercises for you. These are just a general one. And if this doesn't really help you out very much, then what you need to do is click on the link in the description and come to my site here where you can hire me to assess you and figure out what are the weak muscles that are contributing to your instabilities, whether it's preventing you from falling, whether it's because you have back issues, whether you have neck issues, you have wrist issues, whatever the problem might be. I specialize in helping correct joint instabilities, and that's usually associated with some type of pain. Okay, whether it's tendonitis, degenerative disc disease, arthritis, chronic back pain, tendonitis, fibro, whatever it is. For $50 for each month, and it's month to month, okay, no long-term commitments or anything like that. You don't want it, you can cancel anytime. But $50, and I will assess you and then write you a prescription to the same platform that I'm showing you these exercises here. And it can be done through a web browser or through an app if you're comfortable with that. So without further ado, let's get into the data here. Okay, so balance stability. This is really simple. Now, you don't technically have to have this type of tool to stand on. You know, it's ideal to have some type of foam pad to start this off with standing. And it might seem simple, but if we're having a difficult time with our balance and everything as we're going throughout the day, then this can be pretty challenging. And step one is going to be doing it with your shoes or boots on or something. And then the next step is losing the shoes and just being in socks. And the next step is losing the socks and just being barefoot. Okay? It really makes a difference between socks on and socks off. Okay? Just straight there. Now, you can use, you know, if you can get like a foam padding to be able to stand on, you can get them from Amazon for like $15, $20, I think. You can also use pillows to stand on. I mean, basically what it is you just want to have kind of like a somewhat uneven, or not uneven, a somewhat gentle surface, something that has a little give to it, okay? And then you're going to be standing. First, stand on there, be comfortable, and make sure that you feel like you can hold yourself, okay? People have a hard time with that sometimes, and that's okay. If you have a hard time standing on it, then that's where your starting point is. Just try to stand on there and be there as long as you possibly can, okay, with the exercise. But if you're able to do that, no problem, then what you're going to want to do is lift one leg up. Now notice how we're still stabilizing and helping out a little bit. Now the reason why this is done with holding onto the chair a little bit is so that whenever you remove one leg, what the body will tend to do is shift the hip out on the leg that it's standing on. So if I lift my left leg up, just like we have here in the demonstration, then I'm on my right leg, and what my body wants to do is to put my right foot in the middle of right in line with my spine. That way I'm centered, okay? It kind of makes sense, right? Use that chair to try to prevent you from shifting your hip out, because that's going to put a little extra stress on your knee and your hip. And, you know, we don't need to add more stress to the body. So use that to balance, to try to keep your body try to prevent you from excessively kicking your hip out. Okay, that's the big thing here. The important part is that we're strengthening the feet on this exercise. Okay, so you're going to feel those talons, you know, like in a bird or something. Those talons gripping down on the surface to try to hold yourself in place, and that's a good thing. All right. And then you're just going to hold it there for the time allotted, which I would say is like 5 or 6 seconds. Okay. Then let's go to the next one: Theraband chair squat. Okay. So you don't actually have to squat all the way up and down from the chair. Now, actually, this is the starting position. Okay, where we're standing up. You're going to stand on the band, and you want the middle of the band underneath your feet. Okay. Now, that's a pretty narrow position, okay, that we're seeing right here in this demonstration. The more narrow the position, the more difficult the exercise is going to be when it comes to maintaining stability, okay? So if you have a real hard time with your stability, widen your feet, all right? Get a comfortably wider feet, all right? You can go all the way out to like shoulder width or even a little bit beyond shoulder width, okay? And the wider your feet are, the more stability that you're going to have. Our goal is to bring our feet in so that they're in line with our hips. Okay, that's the goal. If you're a female, because females have usually a little bit wider hips in comparison to males. Males are more like straight up and down. Women's have a little bit wider hips, so their legs are their legs are angled in. So you're not going to want to have your feet like in line with your hips. So that's going to be a little bit wider. For a male, so just in a comfortable, what feels like a neutral position. That's the end goal. Okay, but first start out where you're comfortable, where you're wide, where you have less fear of falling, okay? Then you're going to use these bands to step on them and give yourself a little bit of resistance. Now you notice that there's already resistance with the arms being straight, okay? Now what's going to happen is you're just going to gently squat down. The goal is not to get all the way down to the chair. The chair is there for your protection in case you fall down, okay? But you're going to squat down and you're going to bend those arms at the same time as you squat down and maintaining that same level of tension as you had while you were standing up and your arms were straight. Okay? So it's just kind of like a little dance unison. Bend those knees, bend those arms. Straighten those knees, straighten the arms. That make sense? Nice and slow. Okay, and a nice little tip, you want to think about keeping your spine straight. Okay, it obviously won't be straight because the spine is curved, S-curve, but you want to think about just having a long spine. And if you feel a lot of tension in your low back, then you're kind of doing it wrong. Okay, instead, you want to feel like equal tension around your entire torso. Okay, we want to really try to. Your body has this thing that's like a natural girdle that wraps all the way around your torso, from your spine, wraps all the way around to your belly button, and then all the way around to the other side. It's called your transverse abdominis. Okay, so if that muscle is engaging properly, then you're just going to feel tension throughout your whole torso. Okay, you won't feel it concentrated in your low back. You won't feel it concentrated in just your abs. You'll just feel your whole torso kind of just being taut. Okay. All right. Theraband Hip Ab Abduction. Since abduction and abduction sounds really similar, we just say abduction or adduction. This is abduction, which is pushing away from the body. Okay, that's what that means. So this is a combination of balancing with your foot. So with this one, the anchoring leg right here is going to be, the foot's going to be doing a lot of work, right? Still using this for a balance, okay? And then the goal is to feel this glute hip kind of doing a lot of work here, okay? Now notice the range isn't tremendous. You can see the difference there from here to here. It's only a few inches, okay? And the reality is to do that is going to be challenging in the very beginning, okay? So don't think like you have to like throw that leg way out there, okay? So you're using the stool or the chair for a little bit of balance. You can also use a wall if you don't have a chair or anything like that. But you're standing on the band, and then you're just gently controlling, pushing out. Now you don't want to like swing the leg out and let it like pull you right back, right? You want to have complete control, all right? So what complete control means is that at any moment in time, you can stop the movement and hold it perfectly still. All right? That's control. If you can't stop the movement on the way up, on the way down, then you don't have control. And then you don't know if you're actually truly strengthening the right muscles, or if you're just using gravity, or if you're using momentum. You know, if you're using momentum, then you're not using muscles. Okay? So the only way you're going to get stronger is if you use muscles. But anyway, you're going to use that, in this example, the right foot's going to be balancing, and then you're going to try to use that glute hip to push the leg out. All right? Nice and controlling, nothing too crazy. Dorsiflexion, Theraband dorsiflexion. Okay, so dorsiflexion is lifting the foot up off the ground. Okay, it's kind of like if you're trying to like stretch your calf, right? So this one specifically targets these front muscles of your shin. Okay, a lot of times if you have shin splints, it's because this particular muscle is a little weaker and not able to create stability and decompress the forces that you're putting onto the lower leg there. So it's really simple. You're going to be seated, and that's ideal situation is being seated. That way you're not using anything else, and we want to get as close as we can to just this joint being stressed, okay? And then all you're going to do is have the band underneath the opposite foot so that it is providing resistance. Then this foot is wrapped into it, and then you're just gently lifting the foot up just as high as you can with the heel still resting on the floor. See that? The heel is still resting on the floor. Okay? So you don't want the heel to come up, because if you do lift your heel up, well then we know you're using your quad and your hip flexors. You're not really putting enough focus into this front shin muscle. Okay? Your anterior tibialis is what it's called. The toes are going to be working, all that kind of stuff. If you're feeling your quad or if you're feeling your hip or anything like that, then guess what? You're trying to use it, you're trying to cheat and compensate, which will be a very common thing to happen. If you are having falling issues, then these are going to be weak muscles. Okay, so it's going to be difficult. It's going to be challenging to use just this area of your lower leg. and not using anything else. Now, you will be using everything. Okay, it's impossible to use one muscle without using the other 639. Okay, but it shouldn't cause you to actually feel your body working. Okay, in order to keep something still and not moving, only takes 15% of work, and that's not enough for you to actually feel the muscle contracting and doing something. Okay, so if you're feeling something working and doing something other than this front shin muscle here, well, then you're doing something wrong. Okay, and that would be another example of why you need to get a personal assessment done. Okay, hip extension. All right, the primary muscle that we're working on your hip extension is your butt. Okay, the glute muscle, that big old, that glute muscle is the most important muscle right there for pulling your leg back. Okay, it's that push-off part. Okay, now it's really only used, the furthest that you can really push this leg back and using your glute is about 5 degrees. It's not very far. Notice how the person in the example is leaning forward with the pushback. Okay, so you don't have to lean forward. Okay, that's just what happens when you go too far, and your body has to compensate. So that's a little too far of a pushback here. It's only a few degrees. I mean, the reality is if you're able to surpass 1 degree, that's going to be successful range of motion if you're having these issues. Okay, so if you can get to 5, then you're a rock star. All right, you probably don't have falling issues if that's the case. Okay, but nice and gentle. Leg is staying straight. One of the cheats is either pointing the foot. Okay, so don't point the foot. That means you're using your calf to push. Okay, your glute actually attaches all the way down what's called the lateral epicondyle of your knee down here, and your calf attaches there. So compensation is for you to use your calf muscle to kind of like tug on that tendon that goes and attaches up into your glute to try to get it to do something. All right, it's kind of crazy, but that's how the body works. Okay, so make sure you're not pointing your foot down into the ground. Then the next sheet is you bending your knee, which is your hamstring. Right, knee bends the hamstring, back of the thighs. Right, no matter what, it's going to be involved with it. But again, it should only be 15% effort. So if you're feeling the back of your thigh working, the back of your leg, that's your hamstring. You should be feeling that glute, that butt area is the main muscle that you should be feeling. Okay, and we want to do this standing because then it's going to strengthen the feet as well, which is the most important part on preventing you from falling. Okay. Last but not least, a Theraband leg press. Okay, so seated, nice and easy. Now, it doesn't have to, this looks like it might be a little far forward. Don't worry about that. You can have it like right in the middle of your arch of your shoe, to the ball of your foot. And the big thing is you're trying to strengthen these thigh muscles. Okay, the quad, the front of your leg, right? So that's what you want to try to think about using, because that's going to straighten. That muscle is designed to straighten your knee. And what are you doing? You're bending your knee and you're straightening your knee. Okay, so that's your quad. That's what it works on. Okay, a cheat here will be to point the toes. Another cheat here is to push the leg down to the floor. You notice how the leg is still staying kind of like elevated up. It's not going down to the ground. If you're pushing it down to the ground and hitting the floor like it is, like the other foot is, then you're probably using your hamstring too much and then trying to use your glute. Okay, more than likely that won't be a problem. More than likely what the problem is that you're going to want to kind of like kick the leg up into the air and not use all the quad muscle. Okay, so really think about trying to push your leg straight in line, okay, with the band. Okay, stay in line with the band, pushing it through. Okay, but again, make sure you're not pushing your pointing your toes out, okay, or away from you, I should say. Don't push your toe away. It's easy to do. Think about pushing your whole foot straight out and feeling the front of your thighs, your quads. Okay? Let's check out this routine. So this is a 3-day-a-week routine. In the very beginning, it might be really challenging after just doing one day, and that's totally okay. If you need to take a couple extra days off and only do one session in a week, maybe 2, that's okay. All right? Again, your muscles are really weak, and you're trying to strengthen them so that you don't fall down while you're doing, walking and going up and down the stairs and stuff like that, okay? And 1 day a week is better than 0 days a week, okay? So do one, and after a couple days, after a day or two, if you feel really good, then do another one. If you still feel really good, well then we'll do a third, okay? See if you do this 3 days a week, and if you do all of this 3 days a week for about a month or so, 2 to 6 weeks, you should see a significant improvement on your ability to balance, okay? So let's go through all of these again one more time. Okay, so when it comes to stability trainer, you want to hold your body up. We're doing 3 sets, so that means you're going to do 10 repetitions, 10 times each leg if you have the ability to balance on one foot, okay? If not, then just hang out there and balance for about 30 seconds, okay? Now, when it comes to you lifting the leg up and balancing it, at least 2 seconds. There's no reason to go longer than like 5, okay? And then once you finish doing 10 repetitions per leg, so that's 20 total, then take about a 30-second break, okay? And then repeat. You do that 3 times, all right? Then we're gonna do the chair squat. Again, the goal isn't to actually get down to the chair. That's not a big deal. The important thing is trying to be in a comfortably narrow position where it's in line with your hips or a little bit more inside your hips if you're a female, and using that tension where you are maintaining the tension in the band as you squat down, maintain the tension as you stand up. So that means your elbows are going to bend as you squat, elbows are going to straighten as you stand, okay? You're going to do 10 repetitions. It might be a good idea to kind of like pause for a 1-2 count at the bottom and then pause at the top, 1-2 count, okay? That just allows you, that just puts in, and when you do that, really think about kind of like squeezing those muscles in those legs and those arms, okay? It's a really good habit to get into, to like kind of like do like a 2 count little hold at the end ranges, because those are our most vulnerable places when we're doing movements, is end ranges. Okay, we have no problems going in between, the in-between ranges. It's those end ranges that are the most vulnerable usually, okay? After doing 10 repetitions total, okay, you're gonna rest for about 30 seconds and then repeat, 3 sets, okay? The hip Ab Duction exercise, 3 sets of 10. Again, same thing, kind of like as you push out, once you get to that end range, hold it for like a couple seconds, like a 1-2, feeling that glute working, and then as it comes back down, you should still have some tightness, when you bring your foot back down towards the other foot, there should be some tightness in that band, so pause there, hold for a 1-2 as well. It should be easy to hold, it shouldn't be that difficult, but you want to constantly be thinking about that glute muscle doing the work, okay? Same thing with the dorsiflexion. 3 sets of 10 repetitions, 30 seconds rest in between each one. Right? The dorsiflexion one, same kind of thing. 3 sets of 10, and that's per leg. Both of those, okay, it's per leg. All right. The squats we're doing both legs at the same time, so we don't have to do it per. The dorsiflexion, again, holding up as high as you comfortably can go without lifting your leg up off the ground. Hold it for a 2 count, 1-2, and then back down. Try to maintain tension on this one in the front of the calf. It's going to be difficult, okay? It's not going to be easy. Try to maintain as best as you possibly can. And then try to do 30 seconds rest in between each one. Basically what I find is that you do 1 set on one leg, then to the other leg, and then as soon as you finish the other leg, you're back to the other leg, okay? That's been about 30 seconds for the other leg. You're just going back and forth like that. It's a good way to alternate it. Here's the hip extension, 3 sets of 10, 30 seconds rest in between each one. Again, same thing, just doing a 1-2 count hold at the end ranges of both of them, really feeling that glute squeezing, okay? Now, you want to make sure that you're not resting in between reps, you're resting in between sets, okay? When you start doing a set of exercise, which is 10 repetitions, okay, a series of movements for 10 range of motion repetitions, okay? You want to make sure you're working throughout the entire range. That goes through all these exercises, okay? Make sure that you are keeping the muscles tense that you're supposed to be working throughout the entire range of the exercise. Then you're not taking a break until you're done with the set, all right? We're here to work, and the only way to get better is if you work hard and throughout the entire allotted time that you're doing. Don't rest in between reps, constantly be working. Okay, and then last but not least, the leg press. Seated down in a chair, 3 sets of 10, 30 seconds, same kind of thing. Really focusing on that quad, doing all the work you possibly can throughout the entire range of motion. All right?
That's it. Thank you very much for making it to the very end. I really appreciate your commitment and learning how to do exercises that are going to help prevent falling. Now, if you don't find that these exercises are really beneficial, that's totally okay. Please leave a comment and let me know your thoughts and feelings about everything. But more importantly, if that's the case, then we're missing something. And if we're missing something, that's because you need to be assessed, because there's something unique and specific pertaining to you that's causing these problems. So click the link in the description. Give me the opportunity to assess how your body is moving so that we can get it functioning properly. And until next time, I'll see you again later.